Yogananda and Hot Yoga, how do those two go together? Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy Barkan. I've been teaching Hot Yoga since 1981, was Bikram Yoga's most senior teacher for over 18 years. If this is the first time we're meeting, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, hit the like button if you're enjoying this video. It really helps out the channel. So Paramahansa Yogananda, that was a name that was given him by his guru. His name at birth was Bishnu Ghosh. Sound familiar? That's because Bikram Chaudhary's guru was Bishnu Ghosh. He was Bishnu Ghosh's older brother and his guru. So when Yogananda was Bishnu Ghosh, the first name his guru gave him was Yogananda, which means blissful yogi. So he was then called Swami Yogananda. It wasn't later on until he went up higher on his spiritual path or sadhana, he was given the name Paramahansa, which means the ultimate swan. So Paramahansa Yogananda was a Sanskrit given name by his guru. So Bishnu Ghosh was his name at birth. Like I said before, Bishnu Ghosh's older brother and guru. So that's the first hint in how Yogananda and Hot Yoga come together, are very much integrated. But let's go back to the lineage. And in this video, Spirituality and Hot Yoga, I talked more in detail about the lineage, the spiritual lineage, but it all starts with Babaji. So Babaji, arguably one of the greatest yogis, he was considered the great avatar, or Mahavatar, which means Maha is great, avatar, descending being. So the great avatar Babaji brought out of the Dark Ages a spiritual spinal pranayama yogic technique called Kriya Yoga. I had the honor and privilege of being initiated into Kriya Yoga through Yogananda's organization, Self-Realization Fellowship, on March 30th, 1983. Now, the name Babaji is actually a generic name because he's also known as the Nameless One, because Baba is it just means father in Sanskrit. So you would call your father in India Baba, and Ji is a suffix of respect. So you would say Babaji to your father, or Mataji, which is mother. Mataji would be your mother, and you'd say Ji as respect. Or your guru, you'd say Guruji, or Yogiji. So maybe you're sort of guessing, but in the Barkan method world, my nickname is Jimmy G. But don't spell it with a G. A lot of people do that on Facebook. They will reference me and they'll say, thanks, Jimmy G, and not J-I. Then they weren't paying attention. J-I. It's a suffix of respect. So Babaji then teaches his number one disciple, Lahiri Mahasaya, who teaches his number one disciple, Swami Sri Yukteswar, the names get crazy, and who taught his number one disciple, Paramahansa Yogananda, who taught his younger brother and disciple, Bishnu Ghosh. Now, when Bishnu Ghosh was young, and there was this wonderful book called Mejda, M-E-J-D-A. It means second oldest. It was written by Yogananda's older brother about Yogananda. But in that book, he talks about Bishnu Ghosh becoming ill when he was young. Yogananda then taught him a sequence of postures or asana. And you can see in this picture, Yogananda did teach asana. He was teaching the peacock pose in Encinitas, where he wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, which is one of the greatest spiritual books ever written. Maybe one of the reasons why Yogananda is revered as one of the greatest yogis that ever came to the United States, which is sort of a dichotomy, because people have sort of this judgment about Hot Yoga. Maybe they associate it with Bikram, but not many people have a judgment about Yogananda. It's the same. It's all connected. So once again, being judgmental goes just as much against yoga as doing yoga in the heat, if you think that's wrong, or having extreme back bends like we do. It's interesting to see the judgments are in the yogic world. If you don't like to do yoga in the heat, just don't do it. Why make them wrong? Gentle yoga, it's a very relaxed type of yoga. I don't do it, but I'm not going to make them wrong for it. I'm just happy they're doing yoga. Side note. So now, Bishnu Ghosh taught these postures when he was young, when he was ill, and he had this miraculous healing. He then dedicated his life to helping heal the body through the yogic postures or asana. Took a different turn than Yogananda, because Yogananda and all his gurus before him had more of a spiritual intention, using the yogic meditation techniques, or specifically Kriya Yoga, to evolve spiritually. Bishnu Ghosh was using the yogic asana or postures to help heal the body from injury. Now, one of Bishnu Ghosh's number one disciples was Bikram. So Bikram now comes to the United States. He went to Hawaii first, then San Francisco, finally Beverly Hills. That's where I met him in 1980. And back then he was always talking about using the yogic postures and asana to help bursitis, tendinitis, arthritis, slip disc, gout, asthma. And he used to go down the list every day because that was his main intention, using the body to heal, not so much for the athleticism, even though it does go hand in hand. The more athletic, the more in shape we are, the better and stronger we're going to be in our bodies, the healthier we're going to be. But the intention was for the healing of the body. And you can see in this picture when Yogananda went back to India and he was walking down the streets of Calcutta and they were singing his praise because the Guru returned. There is Bishnu Ghosh right next to him, walking down the street, singing his praises. So very much hot yoga and the type of yoga that we do was inspired by Yogananda through Bishnu Ghosh, through Bikram, and then I had the privilege of being Bikram's most senior teacher for 18 years. So the lineage continues. Now let's talk about the origin of Hatha Yoga, and that's definitely a video I want to do in the future. Not yet. We're not ready for it yet, but we're going to do it soon. Hatha Yoga was founded by Matsyendra and Goraksha. Now there's this wonderful German author who wrote Yoga Tradition. That's the textbook for all the Barkan teacher trainings. And if you're interested in doing a teacher training program with me, there are links in the description below. We'd love to have you join us either online or in person or in Costa Rica. We do yoga retreats all over the place. Love to have you join us. So George Feurenstein, and in German it's pronounced Georg Feurenstein, he talks about Matsyendra and Goraksha being disciple and guru, but they were 150 years apart. So he says either there was a couple Matsyendras or maybe it was a mind transference. They also say there were maybe 4 or 5 Patanjalis. History was really hard to record back then in India, so they really didn't get it down very specifically. But Matsyendra and Goraksha's intention in choosing the word Hatha Yoga, which doesn't mean sun and moon. A lot of people think it means the balance of the sun and moon, is symbolized by that. The word Hatha actually means forceful, to forcibly awaken the Kundalini Shakti up the center channel or the Sushumna, the Danda, the center channel, and that's how we evolve spiritually. And this was his intention. It wasn't to do standing head to knee and standing bow in the most perfect athletic form that you can be. It was about channeling the energy up the spine, which was the exact same intention as Babaji's Kriya Yoga, to awaken the Kundalini Shakti up that center channel. This was a tantric, sort of later on technique, not at all talked about in Patanjali's time. There was a very famous yogi, spiritual master named Yogi Raj Siddhanath, who's living to this day. He's about 75 years old. He considers himself to be a direct disciple of Babaji. Well, how can that be? Because Babaji is the yogi that never died. You have to read Autobiography of a Yogi, and you can hear that story, because that's a whole other video. But his directest guru was Babaji. And Babaji said to him when they met in 1968, you can go on to YouTube and you can find Yogi Raj and watch his videos. He's really an extraordinary yogi. He says, what shall I call you? And he ended up calling him Shiva Goraksha Babaji. So Goraksha, the founder of Hatha Yoga, was an incarnation of Shiva. The intention in creating Hatha Yoga and Tantric Yoga is to raise the Kundalini Shakti up the center channel, like I was saying before. It's the same intention as Kriya Yoga. So it makes sense that they go hand in hand. The awakening of the Kundalini Shakti up the center channel. So now if Yogi Raj is calling our Babaji Goraksha, that would then mean, logically, that we are the original style of Hatha Yoga. Now, I'm not saying that we are. I'm not boasting we're the best or the only. I'm just saying it's interesting to think about that concept, especially when you're in judgment about, oh, maybe that's not real yoga because we're doing yoga in the heat, or that's not real yoga because we're not calling the name of the postures the same way you're calling the name of the postures. By the way, check out this video I just did on names of yogic postures. Holding your judgment. If you don't do yoga that way, if you don't like that kind of yoga, just don't do it. Save your judgment. So here comes Babaji to Yogananda, to Bishnu Ghosh, to Bikram, to me, to the world, and that's how it all connects and combines. So that's our episode for today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. You get notified when I post the new video. Please hit the like button. It really boosts us up in the algorithm, and I appreciate that. And I'll see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.